All right, get one of the premier offensive teams in college basketball coming in here tomorrow. It'll be a different look. This is an old veteran team. Greg Campy, very, very good friend, has, I think he's the longest tenured coach maybe in the country. I think he started in like 86, maybe 84 at Oakland. Just built that into a terrific program, gone from Division II status. When I was an assistant at Western Illinois, they came into the league. Got an incredible facility, and he's done an incredible job of finding a way to play, and they're very successful with it. They're going to shoot a lot of threes. They've got a young man that's through 2 exhibitions at regular season game. I think he's taken 41, somewhere right in there, threes, no twos. And his running mate is equally as good. They've got Rocket Watts at the point, who we remember Rocket from his Michigan State days, transferred to Mississippi State and now is back home in the Detroit area. Very good front line that scores the ball, but a very, very high octane offense. If you'll remember a few years ago, I think Oakland had a player that went the entire season and didn't shoot a 2. He took 233s and no 2s. Or something crazy like that. He had a guy right before that, Bader, I think was his last name, that took like 363s in a season. And the Golke kid is a transfer from Division II. He's big and strong, 6'3", 215, 220 pounds. He took 18 threes against Ohio State. And he gets a look. He's got great range, 8, 10, 12 feet behind the line. And they run him off a lot of actions. They play matchup zone. They play man, so we'll see some multiple defenses. They're a very good offensive rebounding team. Long rebound, long threes equal long rebounds, so our guards have to do a great job of rebounding the basketball. So we know we've got our hands full. Team will be at the top of their league, and Michigan or Ohio State pulled away and I think got a 6-point win, but was down most of the night in that ball game to them.
How much do you emphasize execution defensively early so that shooters like that don't get going?
I think the one thing you have to understand is he's going to make really hard shots. He's Steph-like, and I'm not trying to compare him to Steph, but he's like that. He's going to take those type of shots. He's a terrific runaway shooter, running away from the rim. He pivots. He gets those off with extreme quickness. He's strong, so he gets separation. You just got to make him hard. You can't give him easy ones, and you can't miss. Lampman is the same type guy. It just doesn't shoot quite as many of them, or hasn't to this point. But yeah, you've got to make every one of them hard. Know that he's going to receive triples, doubles, screens all night. This is a team that doesn't ball screen a lot, but they set a lot of cross screens, diagonal screens, back screens, pin downs to get those shooters going and opening, and then there's a lot of isolation play for their post players.
Coach Trey Townsend's interesting matchup. Is he a guy that you throw multiple defenders at, or you got one guy in mind?
No,
That's going to check him.
There'll be a lot of guys guarding him. He reminds me a lot of Amani, just as a junior. He's a 6'6", will shoot threes, gets it on the post. They run tons of action to him. He took 16 shots the other night against Ohio State, he's a guy that can pass it, and you know, you got to make his touches as difficult as possible. You can't rest away from the ball with him, and then he's a really good isolation player. You know, they put him in those spots. So Greg knows what he's doing on the offensive side. He puts those guys in areas and positions to score.
Right, did anything stand out to you on film review of Monday night's game?
Yeah, we weren't very good. We just weren't very good. You know, I think we played good offense for about 16 to 20 minutes in that. You know, we had in our man stuff, we never got it reversed. We were as organized as we were in the Kansas exhibition. We were that disorganized. Coleman bringing the ball down the court. We had guys playing out of position where Coleman rim ran a lot in the Kansas scrimmage. We had guys unbalanced floor too many times. You know, we never got to our splits. I think 5 times the entire game compared to 35 in the Kansas scrimmage, which got us to the foul line. And then I thought defensively we did some really solid things. But again, it was not very efficient on our part.
I guess with examples then of some really good things against Kansas and maybe some not so good against Eastern, how do you, I mean, shift back to what works so well?
Yeah, and most of that's mental. I mean, most of that's just a mental approach to playing the game. And you know, it's where this team's got to understand we got to grow. You know, I mean, I never thought we would lose to Eastern, and that's not knocking them, but I just thought that we, you know, we can't have that approach. You know, and thought we were, thought we got some great play off our bench, and those guys sparked us, and I think that's one of the real positive things we have this year is that guys aren't sharp, then we'll just set them, and we'll just find the right 5, and we did that, and it's nice to have that luxury.
Offensive rebounds are the priority, Brad, and is there something else you can do with that, or is that just an effort thing for you guys?
It's an effort thing. I mean, you know, it's when you get a higher percentage back against Kansas and you do Eastern Illinois, and we got 52% of them back a year ago, that's pretty much an effort thing. And 1 offensive rebound from our starters, that's, you know, Quincy had 1 rebound, he had 10 against Kansas. You know, and that's just a lack of effort, a lack of focus, and not just him, that's everybody. So, you know, we shot 50%, we left a lot out there to go get, and that's, we can't have that.
I don't know if Dre needs more confidence, but when he does what he does and Amani does what he does in a game that counts, is there a different look about him after that? Do they settle in? And how does that look for you?
Yeah, and you know, it's that fine line where they can't think it's that easy, because it's not, and you gotta find that line to not let them rest on their laurels, keep let them in their past. You know, it's the next game. What happens usually is the attention on the opponent's scouting report becomes a little different, and you know, Draymond probably wasn't anywhere on the scouting report because of the way he played the Kansas scrimmage. Now he'll be on a lot of people's scouting reports, so you got to handle that. But I do think they're both very confident players anyway, and you know, both of those guys were exceptional, and they've had good weeks practice.
Does free throw shooting concern you yet? I mean, based on their first game, they're going to be really aggressive defensively. Ohio State had to knock down free throws.
Yeah, I hope that's the case. I hope we're getting to the foul line. We got to the foul line 26 times in one half. We made 22. That just shows our mental approach. I look at free throw shooting and know we're a really good shooting team. And when you're not mentally focused, you miss free throws. I mean, Terrence Shannon missing free throws. I mean, he's an 80% career free throw shooter. You know, that's not going to happen. But again, not a big deal. We won't have to make them tomorrow night if we're aggressive and get to the foul line.
What is it maybe about your roster that allows you to, like you said, if someone is not playing up to their level, that you can maybe swap in guys and do different lineups, rotations?
One, practice is really competitive, so we compete in practice. They're competing against other good players, so they're not getting a false sense of reality because they might be going against a scout team or somebody who's walking on and not ready. They're going against other guys who are really good. That's comforting as a coach. Secondly, is experience. We got tremendous experience, and coming off our bench, guys played a lot of minutes. So I don't fear putting a guy out there not knowing what he's going to do. I've got a pretty good idea of what's coming, and I always go back to Andres Feliz. I always knew what he was going to do. He was so comfortable. I was so comfortable with him coming off the bench because there was so much trust on my part, and we have that. I don't, Amani and Draven, two freshmen, I've got a lot of trust in them because they're really good players and they're both high IQ guys and compete. So trust is a big part of it, as well as experience.
I know you talked the other night about what you want Sincere's development to look like in this season, but approach-wise, what is it going to look like in terms of practice, scout team stuff versus maybe on his own individual stuff for him?
Yeah, it's a lot more of there's no doubt the scout team stuff's important. He'll give us he gives us a great look. He gives us, a really good athlete, and he can play on the ball, play off the ball. And I think the one thing for him is he's got to become a better shooter. There's no doubt. I think he's, his inconsistency at the 3-point line there's enough proof out there that that's something he's got to get better at. He's got to change up form a little bit. But the biggest thing for him is adding a little bit of strength and girth to his frame to go with that elite athleticism. And once he gets that, we'll play him a lot of point guard spot minutes in practice because he's so good with the ball. And I think decision making, I think controlling and harnessing some of that speed and aggressiveness, and to elevate others and understand that position. It's not just about scoring the basketball. But there's a lot of things, and we've got a very, very regimented schedule with him, with Chester, multiple times a day, and then obviously with Adam, and that turns into his diet, and really monitoring what he eats so we can try to put some weight on him.
I know Luke said it was a surprise to the team when he came to the news about the red shirt, but just with Sincere, what's the vibe you've gotten from him in terms of his mentality and how he's embracing this?
He's been great. I think there's a sense of eagerness on his part to want to get better, and I think that it's not something that young guys want to do today because they all think they've arrived and they all think they're pros immediately now, and they have no idea how hard this game is and how few make it, and yet to want to get better and take away a year of and take off a year of competing. Most kids don't want to do that. They can't self-reflect enough to know that I need to get better. Most of them think they've arrived and that they're a lottery pick when they're the 10th man on the roster. So, I've got tremendous respect for him for communicating that and thinking that way.
All right.
Thank you.
Wraps up. Thank you.